All right, guys, welcome to our matchup tonight. Our nightcap with Panzers Are Us versus Mean Green Comets, and we're waiting on the Panzers ban. And I'm welcomed here with my good buddy Jay. How you doing, dude?
Well, still a little hot here, but overall, I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. 100 degrees where you're at, and all you got is a crappy wall unit and a crummy fan. Good luck to you, sir.
Well, thank you. Hopefully, the computer doesn't blow up and I stay with you.
Right. So we're seeing the Pajamas Are Us with the Band of Lost Vikings as a first band. What do you think about that?
A very interesting ban on Garden of Terror. We've casted quite a few matches recently on Garden, and I'll tell you, the Lost Vikings have been a factor in most of those matches. They are super good on this map with their combination of Bribe at level 1 and Merc Lord at I believe it's level 4.
Hmm.
And just the ability for them to grab those camps, stay near them, empower those camps. It's just hard to counter. It's hard to not have that affect your entire match as it goes along forever. The extra soak they get. This is their best map, so I'm not surprised to see the ban. What I am surprised at is a second Zol ban, leaving KT wide open for Pajamas R Us here.
Wow, that would would this be the first time we see KT? I think as a casting duo. I think so. I don't think we've seen him yet. We've casted 8 matches since starting this thing, so that's very interesting. Another point too with Lost Vikings, one of the Vikings can actually get into terror, while the other two stay in lane and push or do whatever they need to do. So banning the Lost Vikings makes 100% sense to me on this particular map.
Yeah, and I really also like Zol for this map. Any kind of siege hero you get that can counter push with a 4-man squad away from your terror, as the terror draws the attention of the enemy units, it makes a lot of sense. So the Zol ban, I do kind of like, but here it is, KT for Pajamas R Us. It is going to be the first time we're going to end up seeing him here, and we'll have to see if that ends up being something they regret later on.
That's right. It took a long time for Pajamas R Us to get that KT ban or KT pick, and the answer comes from the Mean Green Comets. Is an Illidan pick straight off the bat. We don't hardly see that. We usually see if he is going to be picked, Illidan going after the second ban phase as a kind of a surprise pick, but they're willing to go for it right now for the very first pick.
Yeah, we see a lot of pro teams going after Illidan early. They realize that he's pretty easy to counter out. You can pick Sonya, a lot of CC, a lot of blinds, things like that to hurt Illidan. But the other strategy is just to pick him anyway, build as strong a team as you can around him, and just try to have Illidan jump around the team, avoiding whoever's countering him, whether it be that Sonya or trying to just work his way through the blinds. Abathur is going to be picked up very, very
Wow.
early for
Wow.
Pajamas R Us here.
No, Mean Green.
Surprising.
Mean Green's taking him.
Or Mean Green, right. Yeah,
Wow.
for Mean Green Comets here. That's a very early Abathur ban. 2 heroes that now Pajamas R Us has 4 picks to counter. Easily countered heroes.
They are, but they must be very, very confident in the players that are going to play those 2 heroes, in their abilities to dominate this particular map. And you're right, with the 4 picks left to counter both those. One of them has already been banned with Lost Vikings. We see a Rhaegar pickup from Pajamas R Us, and we're waiting to see what their next pick is going to be.
Yeah, if I'm Pajamas R Us here, I'm making sure to pick up Rhaegar and probably another good hero to ban. I mean, to counter Illidan here. And Muradin is a pretty good one. He's able to peel pretty well for the rest of his team, particularly for KT, who's
Mhm.
probably going to be the focal point of Illidan's attack.
You're right. You're right. And we do see the Muradin pick up here, and we're getting into the second ban phase with waiting on Green Mean to get their pick out. I would imagine some sort of big counter to either of these will be our ban here, or a classic ETC ban, or a uh, some kind of like maybe even Diablo if they're going to go 2 tanks on the side of Pajamas, just to help out Illidan and Abathur.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Mean Green Comets decide to try and pick up as a healer. They are going to ban out Thrall, a constant frontliner that it pairs really well with Rhaegar. So I think that's a pretty good denial after picking up Illidan. So now Sonya really the only other option. The issue here is Sonya is probably the strongest counter to Illidan, so I think I might have rather seen a Sonya ban out of them, but ultimately, Thrall, not a bad ban. He's a good hero in general, and we'll have to see what healer that they end up wanting to pair with Illidan. A constant pick that we used to see more often, but we still see now is Uther with
Hmm.
Divine Shield for Illidan, but you can't really pick Tass in this situation, in my opinion, because we already have Abathur. So going double support is probably not enough damage on your team with Abathur. But we'll have to see.
There it
They are
is.
gonna they are
They're
gonna
going to
pick
pick
Tassadar.
Tassadar. It looks like the Mean Green Comets really have a strategy that they're going to stick with it, regardless of what Pajamas R Us is willing to do to try to counter it. They're going to stick with their game plan, and they feel very confident in this very divey kind of composition they're coming with, and then having an Abathur on top of that. This next pick is probably, I would imagine, it'd be maybe their tank, maybe a Diablo or a Joanna to deny them that blind. Maybe possibly a second healer. I would think you would have to go with a second healer with those first two picks, but they could potentially, if they're confident enough to do it, run with this solo healer in Tassadar.
They are going to end up picking up Dahaka here. That's a very interesting pick. You know, the global is very good on this map, and he's able to dive in and help Illidan. Also, Dahaka can be a pretty big counter to Illidan, so I also like that pick for that reason. If you tongue out Illidan, makes him very vulnerable for the enemy team to just blow him up very quickly.
Absolutely, and we're seeing what their pajamas responses to this Tassadar and Dahaka pick. I think it's very surprising to see such this with like you said, with an Abathur already. But they're going to go and get that Sony, just like you were talking about. Excellent call there, Jay. In trying to mitigate some of this Illidan pressure that's going to be applied. And who do you think there will be their last pick?
It's a really interesting question. They don't have a whole lot of sustained damage, so I'd love to see an auto attack damage ranged hero come out from them. They already have the melee heroes, Muradin, Sonya, and sort of Rhaegar. You know, Rhaegar nowadays when he's solo supporting, you kind of want him on the back line. They could go after a second support hero. They definitely have the room for that on their team with KT and Sonya probably being enough damage to deal with this comp of what's coming out so far from the Mean Green Comets. And it is going to be a Falstad, one of the best sustained damage dealers, definitely a good range damage dealer, and that global presence that's going to be able to answer to Dahaka. And I'm going to make this a constant saying, bird hunts worm.
Bird hunts worm.
Falstad's going to be going after Abathur all game long if he steps outside his structures.
And we do see a Brightwing picked up as a round out pick for Green Mean Comets. Two healers, a Dahaka and a Abathur and Illidan for to round out their team. Very, very interesting. And if you notice, Jay, Li Ming managed to get all the way through the draft and nobody picked her.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I'm a little bit worried for the Mean Green Comets here. I don't feel like they've. I personally don't feel like they've drafted enough damage. I'm always kind of afraid when I see they built Super Illidan, right? They're going to
Hmm.
be able to go in there, Illidan diving really hard with Brightwing's Pixie Dust, with Abathur Hat, with Tassadar's shields. He can get a lot done, but if he's the only one that's really being able to be effective on their team, you look at all the damage that's coming out for Pajamas RS here. They got Falstad, Sonya, and Kael'thas. I don't know. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a rough game for them.
It could be. It very well could be. But like I said before, they got it. They have a plan, and they're sticking with it here, regardless of what the other team is going to do. They have a lot of damage. They have a lot of dive potential here with both the Illidan and Dahaka. Um, and we got a polymorph coming from the Brightwing, so this potentially could be, if played right, a very devastating team. But if they start getting behind with Pajama racking up the kills, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes out. You know, I personally try to approach drafting in more of a reactive manner. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a plan of how to go in here. And I wonder, with that Zol second ban there, if they were trying to bait out the Kael'thas pick to then specifically build the Illidan comp to try and counter Kael'thas. But we'll have to see how that works out for them. If you're if you're dead set on only going after one strategy and only one strategy and not paying any attention to what your opponent's drafting or whether or not they're going to end up countering you, a lot of times that can spell disaster before the game even starts. So we'll have to see how this strategy works out for them, where you're right. I think they had picked it. They decided what they were going to do. They got the Illidan, and so they just ran with it from there. We'll see how it works out for them.
Right, and introducing these two teams here, we have actually players on both sides that played in Heroes of the Dorm, so that's pretty exciting on this Division One matchup between Pajamas Are Us and Mean Green Comets.
I
And
see we're loading into the game here.
yep,
Gotta love all those Chen portraits on the right side.
you
there.
know it. So let's. All right, so here we are with Jocelyn for position here. Let's see if there's going to be a gank here in mid lane, the traditional gank setup to see who's going to put most pressure, or are these teams going to try to get to lane as quickly as possible? What do you think? Who has the best level 1 team here, Jay?
For the first 10 levels, I would say the Abathur comp always struggles a little bit more to be able to keep up. They do have that Illidan dive potential. If they catch somebody squishy out in the Dahaka drag, that could be good, but we'll have to see. I mean, usually we're going to see Dahaka, as he does, brush stalk to the middle there. We'll see who he catches.
We got a fight moving out in here. Yep. We have a fight, not really a fight, but more of a poke going out here in mid lane between the majority of the players, except for Abathur sitting at the top lane. But it looks like the teams are just going to look to get back into their lanes and see if they can get this beginning. So.
Yeah, I would definitely give that level 1 to Pajamas RS here, but we'll see. The poking begins in the mid.
It does. We're going to have we're going to have Brightwing, Abathur, and Sonya in the top lane, and it looks like we're going to have Tassadar, Falstead, Muradin, and Rhaegar initially in the bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty heavy rotation down here from Pajamas RS so far. Going down with these three, the globals are going to help them a lot with that, with at least with Falstad. But we got 2 globals on the other side, so they're going to be able to rotate a little bit harder. Are the Mean Green Giants?
Right. It looks like we're getting a rotation kind of setup here with the Mean Green Giants. I'm sorry, Mean Green Comets rotating between mid and bot, and it looks like they're trying to set up for a gank here. That is, PJs are us are trying to set up some kind of a gank or at least poke here at the top lane.
Yeah, trying to go up there, trying to catch Sonya out, but she plays pretty carefully. However, it looks like they're going to catch Illidan a little bit out here and start laying some damage down here on the Mean Green Comets.
Right, it looks like Illidan is getting a little bit low, but let's see if he can be able to flip back. Oh, he's getting low. Oh, and he does go down.
All over the place, but eventually he goes down. Rhaegar is going to just get out with just a tiny sliver of health there.
Oh,
and,
my.
The drag in on Sonya.
Good.
It's going to drag her back, but Brightwing's going to end up going down to Falstad.
It is, and Falstad trying to get out, and which he does, and we're going to have the rotation here. Looks like RS is going to stay up in the top lane trying to get those side camps, while Comets are going to try to move to the bot lane to wrap up those seeds as well.
That's what we constantly talk about here on this map is you don't have to fight. There are 2 different avenues to go after the map objective. That a lot of times can be what leads to such long, drawn-out matches on Garden of Terror is it's a little bit harder to actually get an advantage. But we are going to see yet another fight breaking out in the top here.
They are here, and they're fighting with the Terror aggroed, and we're going to see Falstad go down. Looks like Sonya is getting a little bit low, and she is able to win spin for wins out of there. Illidan trying to do something on Rhaegar, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. He did. Wow.
Have been just so on point.
This Zagar tried to come back in and then ultimately fell to Illidan and the Abathur hat.
Yeah, very, very close there. They do end up winning that exchange, but a lot of this is being set up by those Dahaka tongues. He's hitting all the right targets, Rhaegar, Falstad, and KT.
Right, Dahaka taking a lot of damage here, and he is able to stasis out, and he is going down along with Muradin.
Yeah, just a lot of picking, poking, and going back and forth here. Nobody really gaining a huge advantage. Staggering deaths on both sides so far.
Yes, sir. And we do see Abathur down here just quietly soaking the lane, setting up the bombs, and trying to get as much value out of being alone as possible here. We're all going to see some of her minions hit the.
Oh, don't
Oh
tell
no!
Falstad about that.
Nope, nope. And Falstead goes down. Wow.
Wow, Plague, I think Abathur might be a little bit ticked at you for telling Falstad where he was there.
I know, right? I gotta apologize. There. Sorry, dude. Sorry, Abby.
He was trying to just silently soak in the bottom lane, and you had to go and point him out.
I did. Both teams are going to get their respective seed tears, and it looks like Mean Green Comets are going to come in and try to set up some sort of a gank on their side of the terror.
Yeah, we are going to see a rotation down here. Brightwing with that Peekaboo is going to phase shift in and give them a very clear picture of where they are. They're going to think about chasing in, but ultimately the rotation just a little bit too slow to catch anybody.
Yes, sir, and it looks like they are going to push the lanes a little bit. I would like to see, Mean Green.
Oh, Falstad with the fly up.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it.
Abathur is going to go ahead and slink away as he
Yes,
sees
he is.
Falstad. That bird still hunting the worm.
He
Slowly but
is.
surely.
He's getting the worm a little bit. We'll see how that plans out. Apologize, I missed that up there. Like I was saying, I wanted to see Comets try to get a camp or two, potentially on their opponent's side, but they elected to just go. The terror already spawned, and they just decided to stay in lane. We are going to see Illidan sneaking in around Falstead, see if we can get a potential kill with the Abbey Hat applied. And we're getting some damage, heavy damage, laying down on Falstead, and he does go down.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether or not Pajamas RS can snowball here with this first terror. They are able to secure the first one, so if they can get some siege damage done here, they can actually negate some of that HP, some of that XP that's been gained from the extra Abathur soak.
Right, and they are going to get looks like the RS is going to get the wall down in mid lane as the terror moves up into top lane with the Haka close behind him.
Yeah, meanwhile, what this is really enabling them to do is Pajamas RS are able to go and soak all of the lanes. They're able to get mid and bottom, which Abathur is responding to. He's getting some soak out there, playing actually pretty well. A lot of Abathurs don't play like they're an actual hero, but rather like they're just supposed to sit back in the structures and just help with everything. But this Abathur knows, he doesn't necessarily have to be out in harm's way to be able to soak.
Nope, the terror does come down. Looking at the XP, there really is no XP advantage at all. We're both teams sitting at level 9 and roughly at the same point at level 9, and we're going to see who's going to soak first to get to level 10.
Yeah, XP here is pretty much dead even, which is quite a credit to Pajamas RS. Actually, excuse me, quite a credit to Mean Green Comets because of the fact that a lot of the siege damage has been done. We call that stored XP, where you get that XP eventually, but then the enemy team can always get the same amount of XP from taking out those structures, but then the non-stored XP, the minion wave, like what's crashing into the bottom here that's not being soaked at all by Pajamas RS, they can't get that back. There's no way to get that on later in the game. So even though the XP is fairly similar, ultimately the Mean Green Comets are going to see huge dividends when they start knocking these structures down. They're going to end up ahead on XP in the long run.
Both teams have now reached level 10 with their respective ults are selected. We'll go over those in a second. Both teams picking up on their bottom mercenary camps. And we are going to see just them slowly pushing out. We're taking a look at the alts. Let's see if there's anything out of the ordinary. I don't see anything. Blink heal.
Nothing too crazy.
No,
you know,
nothing too crazy at all.
Ancestral.
And we are seeing a big battle going out here. It looks like KT is going to go down. We do see Gus come out from Falstead as a defensive measure. And that slow is just so annoying to have happen here. And Rhaegar does look like he's going to get away. He thought about going in there for a second, but then he realized that would be a really not a smart idea and decided to elect to go back and heal up.
Yeah, I really love the Falstad pick. That last pick Falstad to really counter the engages here from Mean Green Comets. That Gus is just going to be able to control whether or not they want to do those fights when it's going poorly, they'll just gust Illidan and friends away, and they'll just walk away.
That's right. And it looks like the Comets are going to get the first um, terror growing, and green Pajamas are going to knock down theirs with a small invade from Dahaka to see what's going on here. But he's going to see that there is not much out there. We're going to try for a bit of a gank potential here, but it looks like Pajamas are too far away for them to capitalize on it.
Yeah, they had gotten some harass there on Sonya, and that tongue almost hitting would have spelled disaster for her. But she is able to escape out, be back. She's going to be just fine.
Right. And we're going to see Comets go in to get their respective mercenary camps here, starting with the top lane. And we do have both Terrors are fully grown, and people are in them. Abathur down in bot lane is going to have to do something here because Falstead's down here along with the Terror. And Abathur is instantly deleted by Shrimpy, the team captain for green or for Pajamas.
And Shrimpy has now eaten 2 worms this game so far. We'll have to see if we can keep that count rolling throughout the match.
I know, right? Abathur needs to be a little bit more aware of what's going on around him, but that's difficult. Playing that Abathur, being aware of what's going on around you and trying to help your team, very, very difficult. That's why you don't see him very often in tournament-style play.
Well, there's a reason he's labeled as very hard, as only a couple of heroes are in this game. It's just, you get so involved in placing your mines and putting the hat in the right place, getting those abilities out, and ultimately he's still trying to soak the lane. You know, and at bottom you see him doing it now, where he's trying to stay close enough to the minions to soak the lane, but then that counter pick Falstad, he can always just fly right into it and just take him down in no time flat.
Right, and we do see the terrorists try to do something in mid lane, but RS's terror is going up the top line while Comets is staying down here in mid. And we're going to take a look at the top lane, and the Terror is going to put a seed down. Isn't going to do anything since the damage has been taken away from the pot. And the Terror is going to walk back into mid lane to see if they can knock down this particular fort.
Yeah, ultimately there, I think just giving them something to answer to. One of the funny things there is that there's nothing pressuring that fort. You can always just walk away from the seed. Eventually it'll just fall down on its own and it doesn't do damage anymore. But a big team fight breaking out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Gus use along with Phoenix, and the wall does come out and blocks off a few of RS's, and looks like they are going to get incredibly low. However, all of them are going to stay up and just heal up and spread out again. Interesting. Surprised that there was not a death there for the PJ's RS. That just means that the other team just wasn't focusing well enough on one particular hero. And we are going to see the mercenary camps be picked up in the top lane for the Comets.
Yeah, and Rhaegar has been picking up talents that are going to help him with AoE healing, tidal waves, as well as the reduced mana for his chain heal. So if they aren't a little bit more effective at knocking down one target at a time, that's going to end up being rough for them. But even with Ancestral, though, he has the ability to counter each one of those approaches. So very good picks coming out from Rhaegar here.
We do see a bit of an invade on the side of the Comets, taking the siege camp from RS's side, and Sonya was there waiting for some sort of a gank to form. However, her team did not come up there and try to contest that. And we do
Meanwhile,
see
the big camp invade coming in here from Mean Green Comets.
They are, and we are going to see the seeds be taken by the Comets here, but they're still jostling for position here, trying to poke out some damage, feel out each team trying to feel out each other there. We do see Illidan get up there, and he is going to flip out in time, even though Phoenix is on him along with Living Bomb. Tacitard is going to squeak away with his invis escape. Dahaka is going to go down along with possibly Illidan, and Illidan does get deleted. And we are going to have Brightwing get away. Looks like Rhaegar isn't going to give up the ghost, but he is finally going to do it. Oh, the wall does come out from Tacitard, and in the end, Rhaegar a little bit overextended there under the tower and is in turn killed.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay there, but we are starting to see the team fight potential, kind of the one-trick pony that we're seeing out of the Illidan comp here, which is, I think, countered out by a lot of the draft picks here. We see an even team fight there. Both were on 15, level 15, same level, same talent tier, obviously. So It should have been a fair fight, and just ultimately, without Rhaegar overextending and making that mistake, just a big advantage in that team fight for Pajamas R Us.
They are. It looks like our Pajamas R Us are going to give up the top terror and elect to go down to the bottom just to get the soak there. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to try to sniff out Abathur since he is down here. And Falstead has been doing a really good job of beating the worm. We'll see if there's going to be any play to try to find her.
Yeah, we see pretty decent positioning here, though. He's sitting back right on top of that turret, so it'd be a little bit hard. They'd have to have a pretty strong invade. Falstad probably can't do that by himself.
No, I agree. He probably would not be able to. We are going to see both teams go back and try to get their mercenary camps to see before each of their terrors grow. And I would like to see, honestly, both teams commit to a lane and push it until that fort comes down. We haven't seen a whole lot of pressure done. I mean, I guess Pajamas R Us first terror did get the first mid keep down halfway, but that was pretty much it. All the other damage was tried to jostle for position with the other heroes. We'll see if we're going to have some siege damage taken here by either team.
Yeah, at this point the soak is still on for level 20, so I can understand where you still want to soak the other lanes, but really you should either be pushing with your terror at this point in the game or trying to push against it to set up yourself a win condition. We will see Mean Green Comets, though, pushing in at this mid fort.
We are, and both terrors are here along with the majority of each team. However, Falstead is not here. I'm wondering if that's going to play a factor in this particular team fight, but a lot of damage still coming out on the side of PJs R Us, and nobody is actually committing too hard trying to gank anybody or commit to an engage here, but we're also seeing the terror for Comets going down. Illidan trying to come up. He does take his demon form, however, to try to get Rhaegar, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, getting a little bit too far away from Brightwing there, where Tassadar, I believe, is in the terror. So, indeed, and it was in the terror, so not as much support for Illidan when he tried to jump in so deep after Rhaegar there.
No, we are going to get Comets are going to get pushed back to the middle tower, or excuse me, fort. The pots do come out. It looks like PJ Azog are going to get that tower down and start pressuring this wall on the side of the Comets.
Yeah, really smart rotation there. They were patient. They were able to push them back off of their structures using the Garden Terror. Normally, like you said, we would prefer to see them actually try and get some siege damage done, but it chose to fight with it, and it paid off.
It did. Dahaka Stasising trying to survive here, but it looks like he is going to go down. Illidan is very low, along with Tassadar is low. However, Sonya is going down, along with Rhaegar is being deleted. Both teams' heroes are all potentially very low, but this is a 3v2. However, the Comets are, PJRS is electing to leave with that very defensive Falstead Gust.
Yeah, fighting a little bit too long there, I think, our Pajamas R Us. If they had been able to drag the Mean Green Comets out just a little bit away from that turret, they would have had a lot better team fight there, especially with Rhaegar and Sonya in particular going in really deep, getting hit by those turret shots. She would have been just fine, but she was in range of those turrets when all the minions were down. That's actually what ended up killing her.
Right. It looks like Comets are going to take their bottom siege camp. Falstead using his global presence to get up into the top lane quickly as possible where Abathur is, trying to soak some of that XP, but is electing to stay back a little bit. Both teams are just trying to reestablish themselves in their lanes. Both teams looking to soak to get to 20. I would not see a big engagement here unless there is an invade until one of the teams is 20.
Yeah, at this point, it looks like it's going to be Pajamas R Us. They have just a little bit of an XP lead, but a lot of that's going to be canceled out here as Dahaka is able to get the top, and they're going to be pretty much even once again.
They're right. We do have a bit of a seed camp invade on the side of the Comets down on the bottom terror, even though the majority of the Comets team is there. Now the Comets are invading the upper terror here. We are going to see some poke coming out and an engage from them. Illidan using his demon form to jump out way in front of the rest of his team. However, he can get back, and Gus does come out as a defensive Gus. That could pay dividends for them, as it is already down and with an extendedly long cooldown. However, they're just going to stay and get Comets are going to stay and get these seeds.
A really, really good decision to team fight there heading into 20. They realized that Pajamas R Us were not all together, and they were actually able to isolate Sonya. They had pushed they had pushed Falstad back to where he had to get out of there, and Rhaegar tried to go up to help him, but that left Sonya all alone. She got isolated and summarily deleted.
Yes, sir. And we are going to see a bit of an invade on the Comet side to the bottom tier. However, it smells like Pajamas R Us kind of sniffed it out a little bit, seeing that the top tier was already gone. They're elected to come back and take their camp before trying to re-engage or possibly just heal up and get some mana.
Yeah, I really like that call. Don't take the fight when you know you're at a disadvantage. Just wait it out. At the end of the day, the seeds are not worth sacrificing your lives over, and they just go get the camp. They give them something to answer to, and you can always defend against a terror if
Right.
you're alive.
We are seeing the siege camp mid lane on the side of Pajamas R Us was never contested by the Comets and took down the last cannon on their inner wall in the mid lane, and now we're seeing the heavy push into the bottom tower to trying to get this down to get some much needed space for their terror to push. However, both terrors are in the mid lane now. Actually, I'm sorry, the Comet's terror is in mid lane. Is going to get stunned out, but isn't going to get much of a value out of that particular pick because of the amount of damage that he took. But he's just going to dance around and wait for his team to catch up with him and then try to re-engage this.
Yeah, I do like the Mean Green Comets going ahead and split soaking there. They actually did get the bottom fort and have quite a wave pushing in that lane because they were just distracting with the terror. They were able to take the other three members and push really hard with it. Finally meet up in here in the mid, and they're going to put some pressure on this mid fort. Depending on how long they stay, though, could end up being problematic.
Right. It looks like I thought they were going to get that first cannon, but it looks like they're not going to even get that cannon. The Terror elected to go up to the top lane. However, he has a sliver of health. Not sure what he's trying to do right here because Mean Green, I'm sorry, Pajamas R Us are very closely contesting this top lane.
Yeah, at that point, I think they were just trying to make sure they got
We
it.
are seeing a bit of a gank setup here on the side of the PJs R Us here, trying to catch out this unaware team, and let's see how this shakes out. Dahaka can face palm in that bush here, and the damage is going to come out fast and furious. Demon Form going to come out from Illidan, along with, I thought Stasis was trying to be popped. Ancestral is popped, however, KT is instantly polymorphed after that Ancestral. Looks like Brightwing and Dahaka are instantly deleted along with Illidan, and let's see if our Tassadar is going to get away as well.
It looks like Tassadar is going to get stunned out. He's going to have one more invulnerable from the low health, but that is going to be it for him. He is going to end up getting deleted. And
yes, sir.
And of course Abathur, his clone will go down. He'll still be up, but if you look at all the lanes here, they are pushed pretty well out, but that's going to end up changing here as they lose that advantage. Ultimately, this is probably going to turn into a keep.
It is. These extended time death timers now hitting the 22 mark of the match. We are going to see this top keep go down.
And they're going for game here.
They might be going for game.
They just take out that sidewall. They don't even worry about the whole rest of it. They take down the keep, which is going to expose the core and make it invulnerable. And now they got 10 free seconds before Dahaka or anybody's up to just work on getting this keep down, or this core.
That's right. Abathur puts his head on the core to try to get some sort of defense set up and damage put out, but it looks like it's going to be turned into the G's. Very, very aggressive gameplay coming on the sides of PJRS, and we get our GG. So Jay, what'd you think of that match?
I feel like that was just all the draft, man. They drafted very well to counter the enemy team, and just Rhaegar had some pretty good talent picks, but in general, the Rhaegar solo heal was enough to counter out any damage that was put out by Illidan. Really, Illidan and friends. That's really what this team comp was all about.
Right.
And whether it's focusing the heals towards one person to counter with Ancestral, or the chain heal, tidal waves, reduced mana cost, which was just able to keep up any AoE damage that was coming out, they played perfectly against the opposing comp.
And I think you're right. It was a major, major draft issue. Taking that Illidan and Abathur in the first and second positions of the draft just allowed PJs R Us to have four other picks to counter that, and they did a tremendous job. PJs did a tremendous job getting the Falstad and Sonya and Raynor pick to follow that up with a Murd, and just to completely make Illidan a non-factor to the game, even though they had a Brightwing and a Tassadar to help support him. Dahaka did have a pretty, I thought, had a decent showing. However, he just couldn't get himself established very well. But he did try to work with his global presence, and we take a look at the um, kills for both teams, and they were almost pretty even. PJ's RS had 14 kills to the Mean Green Comets with 12. MVP, I don't know, man. Who would you put as your MVP?
I would say the MVP here is Rhaegar. You know, the unsung heroes of Heroes of the Storm are always the support players. And, you know, I might be a little biased because I main support, but at the end of the day, he had the right talent picks and the right mentality to be able to keep up his team where, you know, double support, you would think that this comp could potentially outlast and just have more sustainability because of all of the support pressure coming from Abathur Catapars, Brightwing's heals, Tassadar's shields, able to keep Illidan long enough to be able to get into that back line and be a terror against the squishy characters. But Rhaegar, with the talents he chose and the timing of Ancestral, just able to keep everybody up, keep everybody alive, and then ultimately all the extra damage that was coming out from their single support comp with 3 solid damage dealers in Sonya, Falstad, and Kael'thas really enabled them to be able to just mow through them in every major team fight, really beyond level 10. And then at the end, that opened up the way to the core.
It did. It was a very good showing on the side of PJ's RS. I thought they did an excellent job of playing to their comp strength, and I really liked that Falstead pick. Even being able to smell out Abathur a couple of times was really really cool to see Shrimpy play him. Congratulations to them, and in fact, congratulations to both teams. I really like the guts of Mean Green Comets trying to stick to a game plan and working towards that and not getting frustrated, trying to work with that Illidan combination is just a little bit too much for them to handle with all those counters that Comets had. I'm sorry, that the PJs had. So here is my our end of graphic plug for the channel. I know that's a bit selfish to say. However, we will be streaming actually tomorrow. We have a match, and also Thursday we got a match, or Wednesday we have a match, right, Jay?
Yeah, we got matches the next couple of days. We're primarily going to be trying to cast on Tuesday, Wednesday nights, but of course we'll make exceptions when we got extra time throughout the week. You guys can always request I or Plague to cast, and either way, it's a package deal. So we'll probably both be casting when available for any of these matches. So
Absolutely.
yeah, feel free.
Alrighty, guys, have a great night. Thanks for sticking with us for this nightcap, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.